The ATP has once again sucker-punched Carlos Alcaraz, and the new season has kicked off with a bang at the Australian Open. The tournament has delivered an electrifying start, packed with jaw-dropping moments and top-tier tennis. But, of course, not everything could be sunshine and rainbows. Fatigue decided to crash the party as well. Some of the biggest names in the sport have struggled to keep up, with their bodies waving the white flag after brutal matches. Gael Monfils had to throw in the towel, unable to handle the insane pace. Even Novak Djokovic, the machine himself, called it quits, and Jannik Sinner came dangerously close to joining the casualty list, barely surviving a match where exhaustion almost took him out. It's no surprise, really. This tournament is an absolute grind, stretching over 15 grueling days of non-stop action. And now, just when players thought it couldn't get any tougher, the US Open decided to jump on the bandwagon. In a move that has sparked plenty of criticism, the American Grand Slam announced a format change, starting one day earlier to add another day of competition. Yep, because what every exhausted tennis player truly needs is more tennis. This decision has left many shaking their heads, worried about how the hell their bodies are supposed to survive yet another marathon event. Following the lead of the Australian Open and Roland Garros, the US Open will now run for 15 days, leaving Wimbledon as the last major tournament still sticking to its traditional 14-day format. Starting from the 2025 edition, the tournament will kick off on Sunday, August 24th, and drag on until September 7th. The reason behind this change? Money. Baby. Attendance figures have been through the roof in recent years, with the tournament smashing crowd records over and over again. The organizers clearly smelled the cash and figured, screw it, let's milk this even more. Expanding the schedule is expected to bring in even bigger crowds, and let's be honest, more money. One guy who's absolutely not thrilled about this? Carlos Alcaraz. The Spanish superstar has been one of the loudest voices speaking out against the ATP's relentless schedule, and this latest move only fuels his frustration. He's been ringing alarm bells for months, warning that the packed calendar is pushing players to the breaking point. It's been a brutal season. I haven't played that many tournaments, but I've played a ridiculous amount of matches, Alcaraz complained recently. Some people think the schedule is fine, but honestly, there are way too many mandatory tournaments, and probably even more coming. They're killing us. Right now, there are injuries everywhere because of the insane workload. And sooner or later, players are going to start skipping events just to protect their bodies, take care of their families, and actually have a life outside of tennis. Meanwhile, Alcaraz is on the move again. He flew to Rotterdam this Friday for his next tournament, squeezing in a quick stop in Europe before heading to Doha and then jetting off to the US. But this time, there's a big change in his team. Juan Carlos Ferrero won't be making the trip. Instead, it'll be Samuel López stepping in to coach the world number 3 from the sidelines. After an intense training block at Ferrero's academy in Villena, Alcaraz is gearing up for another grueling stretch of the season. And with the ATP seemingly determined to push players to their limits, it looks like he'll need every bit of energy he can muster. Carlos Alcaraz is already on the move again, packing his bags and setting off for his next challenge after kicking off the season with a solid run to the quarterfinals at the Australian Open. The Spanish prodigy touched down in Rotterdam this Friday, where he's about to take on the ATP 500 tournament for the very first time in his career. And guess what? He won't have to worry about Jannik Sinner standing in his way because the Italian has decided to skip defending his 2024 title. Lucky break? Maybe. But Alcaraz isn't the kind of guy to rely on others dropping out. He's there to kick ass and take names. Despite dealing with a bit of a cold in recent days, because even superhumans like him aren't immune to getting sick, he's arriving at this tournament locked and loaded, fully confident in his ability to handle the grueling calendar ahead. He enters Rotterdam as the top seed, leading a murderer's row of top-tier players, including Daniil Medvedev, Alex de Minaur, Holger Rune, and Stefanos Tsitsipas, who somehow managed to score a last-minute golden ticket from the tournament organizers. This marks the first stop on a short European tour before he heads off to Doha, followed by the famous Sunshine Double, Indian Wells and Miami. One notable absence from his camp, though, is Juan Carlos Ferrero, his longtime coach, who's been keeping close tabs on him back in Alicante after his defeat in Melbourne at the hands of Djokovic. But don't freak out, Alcaraz won't be flying solo. Samuel López is stepping in, fully embedded in the coaching staff this year. And it's not his first rodeo either. Dude was already in Alcaraz's corner when they celebrated that glorious title at Queen's in 2023, so he knows what's up. On Saturday, Alcaraz will finally find out what brutal battlefield awaits him in Rotterdam. This tournament is actually a pretty big shift in his usual schedule. Normally, around this time of year, he'd be off smashing balls on the red clay in South America. But 2025 is shaping up to be a completely different beast for him, and part of that means sitting out the first Davis Cup tie of the season. Meanwhile, there's a whole other storm brewing in the world of tennis, and at the center of it all? Jannik Sinner. The Italian sensation has been bulldozing the competition, snatching the spotlight away from Alcaraz and emerging as the guy everyone wants to beat. His consistency has been straight up terrifying, and title after title, he's been pulling away from the rest of the pack in the rankings. His recent Australian Open triumph was just the cherry on top of a ridiculous run that has included 3 Grand Slams, US Open and 2 Australian Opens, 3 Masters 1000s, Miami, Cincinnati, and Shanghai, and the ATP Finals in Turin. Absolute madness. With this insane streak, plenty of experts are already predicting that Sinner is about to enter his unstoppable era, a phase where he completely steamrolls the competition and leaves everyone else in the dust. His ability to rise to the occasion in high-pressure moments has been unmatched, and honestly, it's starting to look like the rest of the field might need a miracle to knock him off his throne. But not everyone is on board with the idea that Sinner is the new king of tennis. Enter Mouratoglou, one of the most well-respected minds in the sport, who isn't ready to declare this a one-man show just yet. According to him, Alcaraz is still right there with Sinner, and anyone saying otherwise is talking out of their ass. The French coach took to Instagram to share his thoughts, and he didn't hold back. I don't think Sinner is above Alcaraz when Carlos is playing at his absolute best. Their head-to-head battles have been ridiculously close, and honestly, I wouldn't bet my house on who would win if both were at 100%. Mouratoglou also pointed out that Alcaraz has won some of the biggest and most crucial encounters between the two, making it impossible to definitively say that Sinner is ahead. In his eyes, these two are simply on another level compared to the rest of the field. But there is one key difference: playing style. According to Mouratoglou, Alcaraz's hyper-aggressive, high-risk approach makes his matches way more unpredictable, whereas Sinner's consistency keeps him out of trouble more often. This, he believes, is why Alcaraz has been having a rougher time lately, but it doesn't mean he's been dethroned just yet. So, while Sinner might be on fire right now, those already writing off Alcaraz might need to pump the brakes. This rivalry is just getting started, and if there's one thing we know about Carlitos, it's that he loves a damn good fight. Right now, Carlos Alcaraz is rolling the dice a lot more than Jannik Sinner, taking bigger risks and, as a result, racking up more unforced errors. Meanwhile, Sinner is playing like a goddamn metronome. High speed, relentless pace, and most importantly, 0 unnecessary fuck-ups. That's his superpower. The guy just doesn't miss. On the flip side, Alcaraz has something even scarier: raw, explosive power and an insane ability to mix things up. While Sinner sticks to his full-throttle, no-brakes rhythm, playing at an absurdly high pace from start to finish, Alcaraz has the magic touch of changing gears whenever the hell he wants. That's what makes his game so damn unpredictable. Naomi Osaka's coach, Mouratoglou, broke it down perfectly. Look at their trophy cabinets, he pointed out. Both guys grabbed 2 Grand Slams last year, but let's not forget, Alcaraz has already won more big titles than Sinner, and he's still younger. That's a scary thought for anyone trying to outshine him in the coming years. Meanwhile, Carlitos is back on the move. Rotterdam, here we go. This Friday, January 31st. Yeah, February doesn't even have a 31st, but whatever, time is a construct. Alcaraz packed his bags and jetted off to the Netherlands for his debut at the ATP 500 Rotterdam 2025. He's got a few days to settle in before his opening match, which will be on Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on the draw, which gets announced on Saturday. One major change for this tournament? No Ferrero in his corner. Instead, Alcaraz will be riding solo with Samuel López as his main coach for the trip. Ferrero, who has been keeping a close eye on Alcaraz's training in Villena, is staying back this time. No worries, though, the master plan is still in motion. Alcaraz has been battling a damn cold the past few days, but the good news is, he's now fully locked in and ready to hunt down another title. And hey, if you're loving this kind of tennis deep dive, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and drop a like, because here at Tennis Extra, we bring you the absolute best content for the most badass tennis fans out there. We're talking exclusive interviews, in-depth analysis, and non-stop coverage of everything happening in the tennis world. Whether it's the latest drama, game-changing strategies, or epic tournament showdowns, we've got it all. So if you don't want to miss a thing, join the club, because trust me, this season is going to be wild as hell.